The thank you note. It's the small things that count, not only in our personal lives, but also in our professional lives. Did you know that only about 5% of job applicants actually send a thank you note after an interview? While that may not seem like such a big deal, in this day and age, when there is one position and hundreds of applicants, you want to do everything that you can to stand out and be a reminder in the hiree's brain. By sending a thank you note after the interview, you are doing exactly that. It's one more opportunity for you to enter their mind and be on their brain. There are several things you want to remember when writing a thank you note. First is mention something you talked about in the interview. So if you were talking about your favorite football team, the Super Bowl, if you were talking about Ski for Women that just happened, your favorite band, anything while you were making small talk, bring it back up in the interview. Let them know, because that's a reminder of that exact interview, and they will recall that conversation. It's a great way to bring your face into their mind. You also want to address your interviewee or interviewees by name. So if you went into an interview and Ms. Caldwell was interviewing you and decided to say, "Call me Heather," in your interview letter, in your thank you letter, you will address it to Heather. However, if you went into the interview and Ms. Caldwell never said to call her Heather, then you'll want to address her as Ms. Caldwell. Keep the same tone of the interview with your thank you letter. Towards the end, let them know that you'll follow up with a phone call just to check in and see how their decision process is going. It's good to be forthright and upfront. This also allows you to project a proactive rather than reactive attitude, something that many managers like to see in their employees. Be sure to keep the theme of your professional portfolio in your thank you note. So last week I talked about in the resume slideshow, if you put in a logo or put in a color or put in a bar or something along those lines to signify that this is part of your portfolio, and you do the same thing on your cover letter, you'll want to bring in that enhancement onto your thank you note as well. Again, it's one more thing that ties all of these pieces and parts together and allows them to envision the full package of you, from the cover letter to the resume to the interview. Don't forget to sign it. This is true even if you're using an electronic submission, such as sending them an email. Make sure that you have that added touch of a signature on the thank you letter. So how do you send it? Do you send it via snail mail, email, or fax? Well, I definitely suggest not sending it by fax for many reasons. Partly, it's incredibly impersonal. Anyone can get a hold of it, and faxes don't always get into the hands that they should get into. I suggest both doing snail mail and email. I was talking with a head hiring agent over in one of the largest corporations that hires folks in Alaska, and he was talking the other day about, as soon as you finish your interview, go home, type up your email thank you letter, set your alarm for 6 a.m., and you can be in your pajamas, you don't even have to have your coffee yet, anything like that, but come downstairs and send that email at 6 a.m. because that is time and date stamped. So the hiring manager who's looking at that sees that you were up early, the job was still on your mind, you sent the thank you letter, it was articulately written even at 6 a.m. Those small things make such a huge difference. He says when he sees an potential employee who does something like that, they are most likely going to get called back for a second interview, if not be on the top of their brain when they're going through that final stack of possible hires. So definitely take that piece of advice and follow it. I also recommend doing a snail mail because it shows up a few days later. It's a little more personal because it's handwritten. And again, it's just one more step to say that you've gone one more extra length in what you're wanting to do. It's also tangible. It's in their hands. They have to open it. Okay, so all of these steps are so important to making you the best possible you, the best possible candidate for this position. Showing them this amount of dedication in just the process of trying to get the job shows that you are going to show this much dedication, if not more, when you're on the job. And that's what they are looking for. Finally, I want to caution against templates. We've talked about templates before. I think they're a great starting point. There are hundreds upon hundreds of thank you note templates out there. They are generic, they are bland, and they do not have personality. You are trying to project the best possible you are trying to be personable, and you are trying to find connections that you lay down in that interview. So you can use a template as far as a formatting guideline, but don't plagiarize, don't just submit it. They've seen those before. Show you, put you into that thank you letter. Bring your face, your interview, and your portfolio back to the front of their mind.